And welcome back to another episode of Philadelphia Eagles Talk with Geoff and Matt as we have to recap yet another loss for the Eagles. It's funny, I remember not too long ago I was saying, hey, we haven't recapped a loss in a long time. When's the next time we're going to be able to recap a win? It seems to just go on and on and on. This horrendous offensive display, which we're going to dive into it quite a bit and get into the dirty with this one. So hide the women and children because this is not going to be a pleasant podcast. So with that being said, Matt, as the Eagles go out to San Diego in front of a bunch of Eagle fans, they all showed up as usual, and the Eagles put on another. And this is offense because defense was a totally different story.
Yeah.
They were amazing. That was one of the best. It's weird. It was like a totally coin flip, right? One side of the quarter, horrible. The other side of the quarter, freaking dominant at times.
Without
Eagles lose 22-19. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, spot on about the defense, right? Without Jalen Carter, they have one of the better games that they've displayed last several weeks, right? Even when Jalen Carter's been healthy. And a good rebound from an awful defensive performance against, Dallas. So, and then that's where the good news ends. And then everything about the offense was so pathetically bad. The only other positive I can say is so nice to have Britton Covey back returning punts. And why wasn't he there from day one? I just don't understand.
Exactly.
I don't understand it. You got a good one that was on the cheap anyways. Why would you experiment with Tank Bigsby and Gibson and all these? The guy's a proven punt returner, and he can also pitch in as a wide receiver if they need him. So good to have Britton Covey back.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, glad you pointed it out. Yep.
Yeah, and then I think other than watching Tanner McKee stand on the sidelines with his helmet on when Jalen Hurts couldn't find his temporarily, that was my most positive offensive moment of the game. Was hope that I'm please pull Hurts, sit him down so that the team, I'm going to talk about team tonight. You cannot let these things go. And like I said last week, you decided, as Nick Sirianni said, I've got my coaches back. My OC is not the problem. He's not the problem. He's not going anywhere. And okay, if that's what you say, then you have to have the guys step up to where coach wants them to be. And clearly, Jalen Hurts can't be that guy. He's not it. And I think there's a little bit of protectionism going on for Jalen Hurts that might be the truth. And then either that or A.J. Brown is an extreme cancer, or unicorns are going to come running out next week. I don't know what the core issue is. But if you're the head coach and your team needs a win and you're trying to keep the Cowboys behind you and you have a game that started like that, you had all the reasons in the world to just do what other strong-willed head coaches have done and said, I just needed to sit him so his head can get wrapped around things.
Yeah.
And then you bring him back in next week.
Right, and I'll add that you have your defense playing their freaking ass off down after down after down after down after down that game.
You risk losing the team. Yeah. Like you said, the defense was there, and you risk losing the team if you are not capable of making these decisions in a timely manner. And we'll see what happens against the lowly Raiders. But if this game isn't a blow, we're going to be happy because we get a win against the Raiders. By a field goal, we better. And we always say you better beat the bad teams, but I'm just shouldn't this game be a blowout?
Yes,
talent-wise, head to toe on the roster, there should be no match. And I'm not foreshadowing our next pregame, but I'm just
and it's in Philly too. They're at home. Oh, there's not even a road excuse for this game, But yeah,
if Hurts is as bad as he was in this game, which we'll dive into, then you better see a change in quarterback next Sunday at halftime, if nothing else, if not sooner. I don't know. I don't know what the heck the problem is. We're in the upside down. That's what it is. Stranger Things is happening at the end.
You know what? That's a great analogy because that's how it feels especially this last month, because we have a team who not even 10 months ago won the damn Super Bowl, and a quarterback who led the way won the MVP 10 months ago, this same calendar year. And I'm watching that team the other night, and I'm screaming at the effing TV.
Yeah, dominant.
I'm like, what is going on here? Every time on offense, I was screaming at the TV. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Hurts was dreadful. Not bad, dreadful. It's not like he had a bad game or a few bad passes or a bad half. He was awful.
He achieved what no other player in NFL history has ever achieved until Monday night, which was an interception and a fumble, 2 turnovers on the same play. It's never happened. It's never happened. All I can think of was the old NFL films of like Jim Wrongway Marshall when he picks up the fumble and runs it back 80 yards for the Vikings, right? And Leon Lett types where you're like, oh, I think I'm doing so good for my team. Even those plays weren't as bad as 2 turnovers on the same play. It was like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? What happened to you?
Yeah.
Where's the guy that played in the Super Bowl? Where are you?
And then icing on the proverbial cake, the one really good pass he threw that night. I mean, right on the spot, perfect pass. AJ Brown drops. I mean, he doesn't drop that many passes. Let's face it. Brown has got great hands. But what the hell, Brown? I mean, come on, guys. It's like this offense just can't get itself together. Even if you get a perfect pass to your number 1 wide receiver, he can't catch it.
No. And it's meaning like it's just not meant to be. Much like my fantasy football team, but we won't get into that. Maybe it's not.
We could. You know what? Let's take 2 seconds on that. Only because we all love playing fantasy football, and as frustrating as it can be for me, it's the entire season for 2 straight years, and in our league we're talking about. I started off last year 0-6 or 7 before I won my first game. This year I started off 0-5 or 4 before I won my first game. Not even sniffing the playoffs. Been eliminated both straight years by just after Halloween, essentially. So I've had nothing in this particular league we're talking about to even enjoy or even have somewhat fun in this fantasy football season. But that's just, a bad start or whatever I couldn't recover from, whatever it may be. Matt's team this year, and I'm sure there's other teams that have been, other players out there who are watching that have had probably similar, if not this particularly horrible luck. Matt, he had the number 1 team in fantasy this year. Other than, record-wise, not so much. He basically running second all year, Matt, right? Overall, record-wise.
A whole year.
So, and he's top scoring team most of the season, if not all the season, and finished the season with a top scoring team.
I'm number 2 in the power rankings.
2 in the power rankings.
Number 1 seeded player who's got a good record, and he deserves it. But I'm
player in the scoring fantasy player on his team, right? And Gibbs, I would imagine, is probably that, right? Team's been a juggernaut, had a couple kind of crazy losses. Last week, you lost to one of the worst teams in the league, one of the bottom teams, which was
those
type of fluky weeks happen, right? Okay, whatever. Matt's team's still solidly number 2. Well, from my perspective, because I wasn't following the playoff standings too closely, not as solidly as Matt would have loved to have been. But still has another week to go. The only way you could get bounced is if you lose. Now, the chances of you losing, because you were playing the team that had the best record, so you had a really good, team to play.
Yes.
But there was still 2 teams behind you.
Even that team by 3 points.
Kind of needed to win, right? So anyway, long story short, Matt loses in a narrow 3-point loss to the best, I guess we could argue now is probably the best team in the league. He's still alive. Either way, 3-point loss, narrow loss. And then the 2 teams that Matt could not afford to both win do win.
And I think
what's that?
There's 4 teams that make it into our playoffs.
Only 4 teams, yes.
The other teams The other three teams that just got in, I just beat consecutively week after week after week until last week's game. And I have the go-ahead record. What killed me was the tie. I had a tie. I could not get to 9.
Yeah, he had a tie during the season.
All
like early on in the season too, like week 3 or 4, he had a tie.
Crazy.
And so, however which way that tie would have went, I mean, who knows? You could have lost that game, and all this would be moot. Yeah. But but he had a tie early in the season, so he missed out in the playoffs. He's the next, the first team outside looking in. We have a 12-team league. Only 4 make it. We do that purposely because we wanted the regular season to mean a lot, and Matt couldn't feel that right now more than anything else. So I shared at work, Matt. Just again, I know we're off on a tangent here, but hopefully everyone's finding this somewhat entertaining. I told people at work what happened to you. They're like, "Oh my god, that's brutal." I've had some brutal eliminations from my fantasy over the years. Nothing like that.
No,
there is no more deserving team to be in the final four. And including this, one of the teams that got in. First of all, I just beat them, so that tells you how that team's not that good. And secondly, they have Matt's team scored 256 more points than a team that has 9 wins and got into playoffs over Matt's team. Just brutal. That team has no business being in the playoffs, which I, by the way, have told the owner. Which, by the way, friends of the program, that owner is Johnny Flowers. So you guys know who he is. So that's the team that got in over Matt's team.
Congrats, Johnny.
He'll be on the podcast pretty soon. And he even said, I have no business being in the playoffs. So he knows. It's like, but he's like, I'm here. Might as well see if we can pull this thing out. I'm like, yeah, he's got a shot. Anyway, let's get back to condolences to Matt's brutal fantasy football loss. So yeah, on top of watch Matt, put yourself in Matt's shoes. He has to watch that horrible debacle on Monday night and then find out the next morning that he just missed the playoffs, which is just
get 3 points.
What a tough way to get through the weekend. But anyway, all right. So let's talk about freaking Hurts because, what is his stats? I don't even want to look at him. It just drives me nuts. Hurts was 21 of 40 for 240 yards, no TDs, and 4 interceptions. That is the line for our $51 million quarterback in a pretty much a must-win game. All these are like must-win games now. Can we get off the snide, So it's another prime game, and Hurts just was as bad as he's been playing. This is by far the worst he's looked. Yeah. So, I hear him out in the press conference again today going, it's how we respond. It's how we respond. He's been saying that for the last 2 weeks. Well, guess what, Jalen? The defense responded. Where's your response? Yeah. Your responses are getting worse every single week.
Pretty bad stuff. I remember Jared Goff threw like 5 interceptions in the game, and then they won though because he also threw touchdowns. And I was like, how the heck did the Lions win with 5 turnovers? I don't know if it was all Goff with interceptions, but 3 out of the 4 interceptions were really bad interceptions. And people wanted to argue online, and I entertained them a bit, but I'm like, every throw is late. It's late or behind the receiver. That's why there's no rack yards this year. Unless he drops it over the head and in a basket like the one that Brown missed. If it's not that type of pass, Hurts is late or throwing it behind the receiver, there's no yak yards to be had at all.
Exactly.
And so teams are picking on that, and then they picked them 3 times that were exactly those types of passes. Well, 2 of them were. The last one was hero ball.
Yeah, 2 of the passes he threw right to the Charger guy. 2 of them were right to the Charger guy. Eagle receiver had absolutely no chance. He threw it just right beeline, right to the Charger guy. Yeah, and then he'll go and he threw 2 good passes that entire game that I remember. I mean, maybe I'll say great passes. One, the one that Brown dropped, and the other one somehow, which this is the type of play I've been waiting for the entire season. That quick slant that he friggin' fired a missile to Devontae Smith.
Yes,
late in the game. Where the hell has that kind of pass been all season? Yeah. Or in his career, let alone the season?
Yes, and he was putting mustard on those passes.
Yeah, he freaking fired it in there like McNabb style.
Yep.
And I'm like, where the hell has that been?
Yep.
So he like proves that he can make these throws, but then can't consistently do it.
No,
Ever.
and he can't get to him by reading a defense. It's like he looks at the defense before the ball snapped, and he sticks to whatever he just came up with in his head of where he's going to go. And when that receiver's not open, he's in trouble. And he takes him too long. We said this probably every year of the last 3 years at some point in the season. Takes him too long to process the plays. And if you look back at if you want to blame the OC for something, you can blame the OC for not dumbing down the offense, just like Shane Steichen did, just like Kellen Winslow did. Even in the collapse season with Brian Johnson, they were trying to do the same thing. Like his creativity was tossed out the we like, we can't do that. So you either decide, and like I said, this decision was made last week when he protected his OC. If Nick's not stepping in to say, you have to script plays just like what makes Jalen Hurts successful. That's one way to coach. Or you coach with your coaches on your side, and then you say, we need a better player that's going to fit this coach's system. So both ways lead to success in the NFL, but you can't be stuck where the Eagles are. And ultimately, that's Sirianni's choice.
Yeah,
and decision to go one way. So
I remember both you were pretty active on. You and I were both pretty active on social media during and after the game.
Yeah,
and I saw one of your posts that I think I just liked it. I don't even think it was so well said. I don't even think I responded to it, let alone just saying, I don't know, maybe I just said exactly or whatever. Yeah. It was something kind of what you just said. You just summarized, look, Eagles, you got two ways you can go here. You could probably summarize it better than I because you wrote it. But you know what I'm talking about when you said you have an OC, a quarterback, and you got a lot of likes on that too. It was perfectly said. So maybe can you like restate? Do you remember which post I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, it's essentially it's oil and water right now because they don't mix because you have some reason to protect Jalen Hurts like they're coddling him. And I don't care. I don't care about what you hear in the media. Like you have to say good things about your players all the time. That's what a coach's job is to do. You keep everything else behind closed doors, but you should be able to make tough decisions in that. And you have a quarterback that cannot operate this offense, and you have an OC that's not willing to dumb his offense down to a 1 or 2 read offense that Jalen Hurts has proven that he can run effectively with design runs in the mix as well. And those two things are oil and water right now. They don't mix, and you don't do anything with oil and water except watch it burn if it gets lit on fire. Right. So that's where they're at. And that's why for the first time, I've been a very, very strong defender of Nick Sirianni from roses to Easter bunnies. And right, I'm like, but he just seems to not be willing to make a hard decision on this and say, for the good of the team. If somebody gets angry when the coach says, for the good of the team, it's my decision and this is it, well, then you don't have the heart of a champion. You're just like Carson Wentz. You need to ride the pine because this ain't working. Or you go, that's one choice, right? That's one thing you do. You sit Hurts. You say, hey, this should be an easy win. We're going to give Tanner a shot. But if Hurts comes out and cannot throw the ball against the Raiders, then again, all signs are screaming for Tanner McKee to get a chance. And if he can run,
that voice is growing. I mean, there's obviously the segment of Eagle fans out there that think that is the most insane thing to do. You just have a quarterback just won MVP and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, of course we know that.
Yeah.
But we also have a quarterback that's out there and can't move our offense.
What did Jerry Glanville used to say? What's the NFL stand for? Not for long. So that was option one. Option two is you tell the OC, hey, no more of this stuff. Cut this stuff out. He only can run these 4 plays. Run them again and again and again and again. So one or the other has to happen. It should have happened.
And to break this down into and to break what we're saying down into a more of a nutshell under a magnifying glass, whatever which way you want to say it, is taking a closer look at the final interception. Because those of you who want to kill Kevin Patullo all the time and want him fired, that was I don't want to call it a perfect play, but a very good play call. It gave Jalen, your quarterback, your decision maker, your $51 million player, 4 options 4 of them on that play. It was an RPO to start. Okay, so he could have either handed the ball off to Barkley, which, by the way, if he did that, by the way, and keep in mind, it was also a first down, which is key when we're talking about this play. It was first down inside the 20. I think they were at the 18. So it was an RPO call with a couple other options we'll get to in a minute. But the first wrong decision that Jalen made on that play was he kept the ball, because if he had handed it to Barkley, if you look at that play closer again, Barkley would have got at least 5 yards.
Yes. Yep.
On that play. So that was wrong decision number 1. Wrong decision number 2, the other option, of course, he could have kept the ball himself and ran it, which, again, if you watch that play, he had plenty of options to, again, maybe get 5+ yards on first down. Again, keep first down in mind. We're not talking about third down or desperate situation. First down, okay? Third option, of course, he had Dallas Goedert. It was kind of like a split. I don't know exactly how they call these plays, but basically there's 2 options to him on the right. You had Goddard in front, and then you had Dotson, about 10 yards behind him. So he could easily, he was wide open. He could have just drilled Goddard for, again, good 5 yards, maybe more if Goddard breaks a tackle like he's done before. Maybe he gets a couple more yards. Say it's a 5 to 7 yard gain there. Again, on first down, that's a perfect play call. That's the third option he had. But what does Jalen do? He chooses the most high-risk option of the 4 and essentially ends up throwing into double coverage. Now, granted, that Charger guy made a good play. Let's give them credit. The Charger guy peeled off of Goddard, probably because Jalen was staring down Dotson. That's my guess. Probably staring him down, so that guy knew, okay, he's not going to Goddard. If he throws a Goddard right now, I'm going to go grab it or knock it down or whatever. We know what he did. So he's probably staring down Dotson. The guy peeled off Goddard, knocked the ball right into the the other defender who was covering Dotson, end the game. So don't be scrutinizing Kevin Patullo on that play call. That was a great play call, really, in that situation. 4 different options. And Jalen chose the worst one and obviously got the worst result. So I just thought it was a great sort of play to really capsulize everything we're talking about with Jalen. He's having trouble reading defenses. He's making bad decisions, and he's throwing turnovers.
And with plenty of time left to throw that all away first down. And I could feel it, man. I was like, here comes a hero ball. And I had to double check the jersey number. I'm like, is that 11 out there? Is that Carson Wentz back in? Did we just re-sign Carson Wentz?
That was a total Carson
Wentz. That looked like Carson Wentz. Like,
yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
What is happening? And to lose a game, it's not like the record matters less than what the team just gave you. Like the defense just played their guts out.
I felt so bad for the defense. Everybody on defense, every single player. We could really legitimately say this. Every defensive player on that field played their freaking asses off the entire game.
Yep.
They only really had that one play early on to Vidal.
Yeah,
or whatever, where he kind of got out into some spacing where there was really nobody there and turned a 5-yard pass into a 60 yards. Outside of that, the Eagles were locking him down the entire game.
They were. And Nakobe Dean continues. I don't know how Dean didn't get the sack when he came right through. He didn't even have to run over a running back. And he couldn't tackle. I'm like,
I think sometimes what happens is if the player got through so easily and so free, suddenly like in front of the quarterback, and it's like, oh shoot, I didn't expect to be there so quick. Not that I want to give make excuses. I just think sometimes that might be the case where he's got to the quarterback faster than he thought he would, and then he like, oh shoot, now I got to tackle him. That
wasn't ready to tackle. I totally agree, but Vic Fangio has found a role for Nakobe Dean that there's no way the Eagles don't keep him as long as Vic is here, because he is absolutely.
I don't think Vic will let him go either. I agree with that.
Yeah, he's perfect with executing Vic Fangio's blitzes. So,
and he is physical for not being a big guy, man.
Oh,
he unloads at any running back or whoever tries to block him on his blitzes. Man, he is looking to like punish them.
Here comes the load.
You're gonna block me, you're gonna feel it. It's almost like the Brian Dawkins mentality.
Yes,
you're gonna try to block me, you're gonna feel it. You may stop me, but you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, It's the closest I've seen to Dawkins with that intensity all the way through the play, So, and that's the thing, like, if you get those types of performances from half of your team, the whole defense is half of your team, and you're just going to allow mediocrity or worse to occur on the other side of the ball because you won't make a coach's decision, that's unacceptable. Like,
I agree. To your point, Matt, when they're in meetings this week and they're reviewing the tape that they always talk about, we got to review the tape. Let's review the tape.
You got to correct
when both of these, you look at the offense and the defense reviewing the tape, to your point, the defense is like, damn, they're all like, shit, we played better than I even thought. Or, holy cow, we were damn good and this and that.
Yeah.
And then they see the offense and their game tape, how they just shit the bed every single freaking down.
It's disheartening. Kills the team. So
now, I know there's a growing voice out there for McKee. We saw it. I mean, there was more people looking for the Eagles to pull Hurts in that game than I've seen in all season.
Well, I think it'll be unforgivable if they have a half versus the Raiders, the first half.
Yeah.
That stale as it's been the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not talking you need the turnovers. If it is stale, you go to McKee second half of that Raiders game. I don't know another second.
It's also at home, Matt, and we already heard, at least on social media, people calling for, McKee in that game. So this is at home. So if it's an ugly half, like you're talking about, against the worst team in the NFL, or one of the worst teams in the NFL,
you're going to hear, we want Tanner.
You're going to hear it, Sirianni.
We want Tanner. It's coming.
Because you got to be really bad to look bad against the Raiders.
Yes, you do.
So if he is, 8 for 17 at halftime with 45 yards passing and 2 picks, you got to pull the plug. You have to bench his ass.
If you had Mike McMahon, Brad Goebel, Ty Detmer as your backup, then okay, you ride it out with Hurts. But you kept Tanner McKee, and you haven't traded him to other teams because he can play football. So if we can't get the ball moving by halftime,
they have a high asking price for McKee.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Eagles know they have something to McKee. This is a great point you're making. They didn't trade him. They obviously have a high asking price for him because they could have moved him already. There's no doubt teams have already called about him. We know that. They haven't done it. And you're going to continue to put this product out there offensively with the defense the way it's playing, with the playoffs on the line, division again. The gap is really small between Dallas because you haven't been able to win these games. You're going to keep rolling. Jalen out there thinking he's some way, shape, or form going to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to figure it out at this point. And what happens? Okay, you decide to let the OC move on, get a guy that can coach Hurts next year, and you keep Hurts. But if Tanner McKee can throw the football and win games, well, now his price just went up. And so if you do trade him away, you just got a lot more value back just because he won a few games for you at the end of the season here. So, and there's always, you've got Phillip Rivers playing quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. You think we're not going to get a good trade offer for Tanner McKee if he wins a few games at the end of the season? Like you might be talking a second round draft pick.
Yeah. What do you think the Colts would give up for McKee right now?
They would probably offer a second rounder. I don't think
they would basically say, what is it going to take? What's it going to take? You tell me. Yeah. So, I get, it's not like we're sitting there trying to say that, bench Hurts and don't ever let him play again and just go McKee going. It's not really that. It's just, you have a team environment here, like Matt's been talking about. You can't just continue to just fail and fail and fail when you have an answer or a potential answer that you can turn to stop the bleeding. Yep. And it's a tough call to make because this is a guy, like I said, 10 months ago just won the Super Bowl MVP.
It is.
But he ain't playing that way. He hasn't been playing that way all season.
No, I would also add this. If A.J. Brown is part of this problem, for real, And I don't see how you wouldn't have word from inside the locker room about where the truth exactly is, because nobody outside is going to know. The media is not going to know. We're not going to know. But if there's truth behind that, you bench Hurts and Brown. You bench them both, and you just let them ride the pine. And you say, we can win without you guys.
Yeah.
If there's a problem there. If there isn't, okay. But if there is, I would bench them both. Just be like, you two are acting like children. So we're going to go win this football game with adults in the room. So have fun.
Yeah.
Ride the line. Show me that you can actually get past this, and we'll play next week. Or when you ride, and the other thing you're going to find out about those players is you sit them down and see how they react. Because, like I said, Tom Brady, if you ever benched him, if you ever benched Tom Brady, he would be like itching to get back on the field and do things the right way and would respond. And I think you find out in tough times what people are made of. And I would, if there's any smoke to that fire, I'd be like, you two, you're sitting this game. The Cowboys weren't afraid to do it with George Pickens, made him sit out the first series. Other teams have done it for disciplinary reasons. And I'm like, something's got to happen. Okay, we're dead in the water right now, and you need a spark. So it's the head coach's job to go find one somewhere.
Yeah, and here's the ironic thing. We just happen to have the guy as quarterback on our team who is already part of one of the most, biggest quarterback controversial benchings in the history of college football. It happened to him in college during the national championship game. They benched him.
Happened in the national championship. Happened when he was on the good side of that benching of Carson Wentz. And why did he see the field? Because Carson Wentz was sticking it up just like you are.
Right.
That's it. So, right, fine. It wasn't like Wentz wasn't our multi-million-dollar quarterback. He got benched by Doug Peterson. And then Peterson got fired, but it was the right call. It was absolutely the right call.
Absolutely.
And this too.
Yeah, and and Hurts is not Carson. We know that. We know Hurts is much more strong-minded, which one thing we've always said Hurts from the beginning is he's not weak-minded like Carson. He's not.
If they did bench him, I totally feel he would handle it like a champ, and he would work harder to get his job back. I totally feel like that's who.
Yeah, I agree. He's already done it in college.
Yeah,
he got his job back. He ended up going in when Tua got injured and rallied his team for a national championship.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's seen both sides of it, and he's not mentally weak. We know that about Jalen. So we don't have to worry about him crashing and burning because they benched him. So, look, I'm not saying. Look, I think this is the perfect scenario. It's like, well, when would you ever freaking bench a Super Bowl MVP in this year after he just won the Super Bowl? It's in this exact scenario where your team has lost 3 straight weeks, where your division's no longer safe, your division lead, your playoff spot as well, because if you don't win the NFC East, you're not getting into playoffs the way that season's looking. So it's your only way in. So the pressure's there, and you're playing one of the worst teams in the league at home. So if you got your starting quarterback go out there and again shit the bed for the first half of the game, then there is no more opportune time for Sirianni to make a switch.
Yep.
You can't tell me that Howie and Mr. Lurie aren't in Sirianni's ear to some point or won't be during the game. Like, dude, it's time for McKee.
Yeah. We need to see something.
Especially more than likely what's going to happen is Jalen's going to go out there and probably throw 3 touchdowns in the first half next week because the Raiders are so pitiful. It's possible.
Yeah.
And suddenly everything's all forgotten. Eagles are on their way to killing the Raiders like they should.
Yeah.
And suddenly things are heading in the right direction against one of the worst teams in the league.
Or we win because we get a couple defensive scores or something like that. Like something where the offense didn't prove themselves, and yet we come out of here with a win. That would be the worst thing, actually, I think, happened this week. If we get out of there with
that would be the worst
performance and we get a win, That'd be so awful because then we're stuck, and we should not expect much in a playoff run after that. Something needs to either light a fire under Hurts's butt, and that's Tanner McKee, who might be able to just win games and run this offense very, very well. Because people are all like, "Well, who's Tanner McKee? He's never played in a pro game, not for."
The thing is, that's what you hear, but he actually has, right? He has started and could finish 2 games in his career against the Giants, against Dallas. And he played sparingly a couple times when Hurts been injured.
Yep.
And every single time, including, I mean, if you want to count the preseason, fine too, but he's looked great in the preseason as well. But if you want to talk about, regular season games, that's fine. I get it. Every single time he's ever been put in that position, he has looked great. Not good. He's looked great.
Great. Reads the field.
Other players look great.
Reads the field, delivers the ball on time. It's accurate. It's a well-thrown ball, and he doesn't have any problem making the plays work. There was one point last year in the Dallas Cowboys game where he had thrown 5 passes. One of them was incomplete only because Brown caught the ball out of bounds and would have been a touchdown. And the other 3 passes were touchdowns.
Touchdown passes.
Yeah. And I was against the Cowboys game. They're like, I kept telling all my friends that, like the Browns fans that I have that are friends, I was like, we have a quarterback if you want him. He's going to fix everything out there in Cleveland if you want him. And all we would need is probably a 3rd-round draft pick at the time. And I'm like, and as we're talking and we're playing, I'm like, hey, by the way, he's 3 for 5 with 3 touchdowns.
So to me, it's like, it's not a huge sample size, but it's the only sample size we have. And it does include NFL regular season games, starts as well.
Yeah. Games that mattered.
He's looked phenomenal.
Yep.
So don't tell me he doesn't have, he hasn't shown enough.
No. And those were games that mattered.
What he's shown has been, those games count that he played.
Hurts got.
We're not just talking about preseason.
Yeah.
If you want to include the preseason, then you got a larger sample size, and he's playing with a bunch of 3rd stringers. Now he's out there with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and he's still throwing touchdowns and first downs and moving the ball.
Yeah, and the games mattered because this was after Hurts got injured in the Redskins game, the Commanders game, and the Commanders were right on the Eagles' heels for the division last year. So these games mattered, and McKee had no problem executing the offense last year, Kellen Moore's offense, but I don't think you'd have a problem with Patullo's.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Right. So it's not even worth getting into player grades.
No,
because
defense gets an A.
Defensively, like I said, across the board, including Marcus Epps. What a return he had. He was freaking amazing. He was lighting people up. He was covering everywhere. I mean, he hasn't missed a step in this defense. So Marcus Epps, having him back been great. I've been rooting for Sidney Brown, but Epps is just a way better player at this point in his career. It's not even debatable.
Nope.
And everyone in this defense, Jalix Hunt. He was 2.5 sacks. I mean, he looked phenomenal. He was constantly in their face. I mean, Herbert had no time.
No time.
He was running for his life almost on every single pass play, to the point where he had to run the ball a lot himself with a broken hand. He's out there trying to gut his team to a win. I mean, I like Herbert a lot. I always have.
Praise
he shot a lot too in that game. Just to gut out a win like that. But just the defense, the Kobe Dean we mentioned. How about Cooper DeJean? He was all over the place too. Cooper breaking up passes downfield, left and right. I mean, Ladd McConkey's a pretty good slot receiver. Yep. I've seen him smoking a lot of teams. He was blanketed completely by Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I think Cooper was bitter about how he played the week before, and Cooper responded. He rebounded. But
say again, he got cut out there.
Cooper responded. I think he was bitter about his lack of performance the week before, and so he had a good rebound game. And
by the way, I don't know if he caught it. He did it a couple times during the game, but I love his celebration. He's like,
"Yeah, it's just thumbs down."
I love it. I don't know. That was hilarious. He did it a couple times.
And then nothing good on the offense. Nothing. Even the trick play.
I mean, if you want to go Barkley,
that's
maybe. I mean, that was a trick play though. It's not like it was a typical running play, but it was good to see him regardless. And it was kind of a hold. And let's face it, I thought that Mailata held this guy.
Yep. Well, he's holding everybody this year.
So they got away with a holding call in that play. So, yeah, you take that play. I mean, maybe it would just highlight the inefficiencies of this freaking offense with Hurts if that holding call was actually thrown, because that takes away the 60-yard touchdown run.
Yep. And then what do we have? We have,
and that could have been called. I mean, Mailata was holding him.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Yeah, just a brutal. The offense, as good as the defense played, it was, like I said, the exact opposite offensively. As great as one side was, as horribly pathetic the other side was.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I was telling, I was watching the game, and I'm like, I don't know if it was you I was texting or someone else that was texting a few people, and I'm like, I think our only chance to score is our defense. Like, that's what I felt that night, and it's like I felt more opportunistic to score with our defense than we did our offense.
Or special teams, right? Like Covey breaking one, maybe.
Yeah. By the way, another little bit on Covey. We already talked about where the heck has he been all season. Why did they even experiment with other guys? It makes no sense. Like, sometimes you just wonder, like, what is in the decision-making of football teams? Because Covey was their own guy. He's a guy they drafted. So it's not like, with Howie wouldn't be saying, no, let's get rid of him. He's not even one of my picks. No, they brought him in. They drafted him. So you got Covey, who's a homegrown Eagle. And then for some reason, he fell out of favor this offseason for no reason. The year before, I think he led the NFL in kickoff return yards.
Yeah.
So what were they doing with Covey?
I don't know.
And then they bring it back, and we already know about all the countless plays this year, special teams wise, fumbling the ball, fielding the ball when you're not supposed to. I mean, it's like they were doing everything they could to just to struggle special teams wise, and you have Covey sitting in there.
Yeah,
you bring him back, and then you still sat him on your practice squad for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
What are you guys doing? What does he have to do to get on the field? So, and he made a lot of plays out of nothing.
Yep.
He really,
including one
face more comfortable with him back there. So yeah, welcome back, Covey. Yeah, that's right. When he got face mask on. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I mean, I think we, kind of went through the reasons why, if this is another pathetic start against the Raiders, the Eagles got to make the move.
Got to make a move.
Got to make the move. They can't allow this to continue. I don't know if they have the balls to do it. That's the thing. But
it doesn't matter. We're past the point of no return on that. Like, you're going to have to deal with a QB controversy either way.
Anyway, yeah, I was saying that. Great. That's true.
Yeah.
The fans are going to start calling for it right there at the game.
Oh,
so you're already going to have to deal with it during the press conferencing and everything else. So you just might as well do it anyway. And if it's justified, which it would be if this scenario ends up becoming reality, then just do it. Anyway. All right. So we're not going to go through player grades. Offense.
No, we don't need them.
F minus. Maybe with the exception of Barkley. I mean, he looked good even when he didn't have the 60-yarder. He looks a little bit better, but it's not saying a lot when the bar is as low as it's been all season for him.
We messed up big time this Monday.
What's that?
We messed up big time this Monday.
Yeah, I mean, our prediction. Well, you nailed it again, prediction wise. So, Matt, you predicted that you went against the Eagles and got that accurate. I did say that as I was going for the Eagles, but I was doing it with no logic whatsoever. My only logic was they can't go 3 weeks in a row. Well, Jalen said, sure we can. Sure, we'll go 3 weeks in a row.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. So, and you were very close on the score. 21-17 you had Chargers. So you were right on. I had 23-20 Eagles with a late field goal. So didn't happen. But I don't know. We'll be back for the pregame podcast. We'll probably do it Saturday morning. If that works out for you, Matt, we'll knock that out on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday's good.
And, the Raiders are up next. So if there's a gift from the football gods for this pathetic Eagles offense, well, it's coming into Lincoln Financial in form of the Vegas Raiders, on Sunday. So that's what we got coming up. So, Matt, any closing thoughts?
Be better. Be better is my closing thoughts. Be better. Be better.
Offense, though, because their defense, I mean, I don't know how they can play much better.
Defense, keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Keep it going, D. By the way, Jordan Davis, we didn't mention him. Jordan Davis was an absolute freaking beast. Beast.
Good for that guy.
I mean, so Jordan's been awesome to watch this year. I'm very, we probably haven't talked about him enough. I mean, we certainly have sung him praises when, he's had those games where he made a big play or whatever. But just overall, he's been great all season.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jordan Davis, man, major props to you. So, want to make sure we give him a little shout out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, with that said, try to keep this thing positive, as bad as it is offensively right now. So, thanks again for watching. Make sure you thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment below. What are your thoughts? Should they or should they not pull Hurts if he gets off to another slow start this weekend? Let us know. Are we insane to say that about our Super Bowl MVP just back 10 months ago? Or does this make sense at this point? Let us know. And with that, fly Eagles fly. And Matt, we'll let you sign us out here.
Go Birds. But be better.
See you next time.